Hello everyone. Today we're gonna be discussing about violence and video games. So we're gonna be starting this debate about this sentence. Do violent video games contribute to violence? Well, in one hand we have Luis Fernando and Alejandro. They're gonna be proving that this violence and video games are not related. And well, on my person, I will be showing some studies that are proving that this statement is completely true. So, Luis Fernando, could you please go ahead, show us, could you please give us a short presentation about you? And what about you, Alejandro? All right. Well, let's start with the with this information about what is a video game. Well, a video game can be used for an entertainment or before station, but they can also be used for competitions and for computer learning. Some video games are designed to help improve fine motor or hand-eye coordination. So video game could be useful with for learning and also could be only for entertainment. There are video games from young video games from adults, and also there are some video games that show a lot of violence on them. So, well, the first conclusion about the video games is related with the video games violence. So, we'll be explaining this first study that showed that video games and violence are completely related. Playing violent video games aggression, bullying, and fight. Well, 60% of middle school boys and 40% of middle school girls who played at one violent video game, they did or beat up someone on par with the other hand, the 39% of boys and the 14% of girls who did not play violent video games. So what I'm trying to say is this percentage of balance between kids who had been playing violent video games previously. So Alejandro, what can you say about it?
Well, what I have to say about this argument is that in the
Alejandro, are
youth
you there?
that we see today, especially in the US, with all the violence
Well,
in the
what can you say?
schools, the mass shootings, um, the this type of behavior
Or Luis
that these
Fernando?
kids are manifesting isn't associated with video games. There has been a study that has been proven and
Go ahead,
shown
Alejandro.
that it's not because of the video games that they play, it's actually because of their home environment, mental illness, some problems with their parents, parent abuse, and the list goes on and on.
So what are you trying to say is that aggression is different between violence? What's the difference on aggression or violence?
But on this list, you won't see video game violence. It is
Alejandro,
not there.
what could you say about this difference between aggression and violence? Particularly that and studies show that well, violent video games it could be affecting the aggression behavior, but not the violence between kids. So, what can you say about it, Luis Fernando? Do you have any opinion about it?
Well, about that, I don't think the video games have the whole fault. It might probably have part of the problem, as you were saying, but well, I think it's a composition of many other little things.
Well, what I have to say about this argument is that in the youth that we see today, especially in the US, with all the violence in the schools, the mass shootings, the this type of behavior that these kids are manifesting isn't associated with video games. There has been a study that has been proven and shown that it's not because of the video games that they play, it's actually because of their home environments, mental illness.
Well, I probably could agree with you, but let's see more information about this sentence that Alejandro is providing us. Well, a previous review studying psychology of violence determined that the competitive nature of video game was related to aggressive behavior, regardless of whether the game contained violent content. So not only the violent games could affect the aggression or the behavior on kids. It could be any game, only games related to violence, it could be shootings or some kind of content that kids, I consider they don't have to be allowed to play that kind of game. So I will be providing older pro about this. And it is, well, many perpetrators or of mass shootings played violent video games. So, as you know, on USA, well, school shooting, they are a regular problem on the country. Many researchers previously has covered this information about these mass shootings perpetrators, and it is that these kids or it could be high school students have been playing violent games. They are involved in this kind of games, so could be related the behavior that and the violence involved in the game. So it could be the kids that they were playing games related to shoot people, to be Grand Theft Auto, I don't know. So well, what I'm trying to say that most of the kids that are involved in crimes, they were playing violent video games previously on could be on their job. So Alejandro, what do you say about it? Are you do you agree with me or do you have a statement to say that I'm wrong? What can you say?
Some problems with their parents, parent abuse, and the list goes on and on. But on this list, you won't see video game violence. It is not there.
Excuse me, Alejandro, I cannot hear you. Could you please turn on your microphone? Yes.
It is true that some video games may give you a aggressive reaction, but not a violent one. So with that said, um, there's this competitive nature of a video game that was related to aggressive behavior.
But you know, Uh, some parents said simulating violence such as shooting. Luis Fernando, could you please with the idea, Alejandro's idea?
First of all, I think the most important thing that all children need to have in a certain age, like a age of 7 or something like that, is a very early age, is the attention and education from his parents. And I think a lot of children that may cause those incidents, those violent incidents, mm, it's maybe because of the lack of education that his parents give to them, that his parents gave to them. Of course, there's a lot of other things that may help to to that in order to happen,
School
right?
shootings or with, yeah, I know. I got your point. So
Regardless of whether the game contained violent content, the research concluded with because past studies have failed to equate the violent and non-violent video game on competitiveness, difficulty, and piece of action, researchers may have attributed to too much of a variability in aggression to the violent content. So it's mostly just people just being very competitive, which you can see.
yeah, that's my whole point. What I'm trying to say, some kids who were playing, they start playing Fortnite or Apex Legends. Um, on the future, they could be involved on a school shooting. Why? Because they were always watching some character shooting or using guns, so they are learning on video games. That's what I'm trying to say. Alejandro, for example, what can you say if a young kid, if for example, if a kid got Christmas is some console, could be an X or a PlayStation, and his first video game is Call of Duty. What kind of learning this kid would get from that game? It will be only violent, so they will be growing with this information on his mind. Probably I I'm not completely sure, but when this kid is grown up, they will be a school shooter. So what can you say about it, Alejandro? Do you agree with me, Luis Fernando? But why? Where are your points? Well, you have good points. Well, um, my final point to discuss about the violence and video game, it would be the another, and it be the exposure to violence. Violent video games is linked to lower empathy and decreased kindness. For example, empathy, the ability to understand or enter into another's feelings, is believed to inhibit aggressive behavior. So I have a study, and this is study of 150 fourth and fifth graders. It was showing that violent games were the only type of media associated with lower empathy. So if the kids are fully with full exposure to violent video games, they will be showing low empathy and low kindness. Why? Because the video game is showing that if they are completely playing video games all day, they will be disconnecting from reality, and for that, this will be affecting uh, the whole behavior with other relationships. For example, the relationship between kids, their parents, or the relationship on the school. Why? Because the video games are showing that, are showing violence, are showing that independent character that they don't need help from others. So that's another point I want to discuss today. So, for example, Alejandro, do you have any positive effect that video games could do to the kids? Do you have any positive? So there are many factors that could affect the behavior and violence between kids, not only video games. That what you're trying to say. So, all right, Fernando, do you want to add some information about Alejandro's statement? Well, if that's your opinion, but I have something to show finally to you all. So, well, my other point is about the rewards in video games. Violent video games reinforce fighting as a means of dealing with conflict by rewarding the use of violence action with increased life force or weapons, moving on to higher levels and more. So if the video game is showing that the use of violence is a prize, you can get prize for that. Well, this is the kind of learning that probably will be the kind of information that a kid will be learning. If the video game is showing that if you punch some it could be an enemy on the video game, you get a prize. So the kid is learning that. It could be video game video game for kids. It could be any kind of game. Most of the games show that if you punch or if you jump into some enemy, you will get a prize. So do you consider that this behavior on the video game it will be showing a bad information about how is life to kids? So the education will be hand in hand with the how parents show that video games are not the reality; they are only for entertainment. This behavior prey on video games, we should teach to our kids that this is not the real. Know how you deal with problems. So, as you are mentioning, probably statement will be it's not true because there are most of the time uh action in the movies, and you can go with the could be a fight on the movie, and you get no punishment for that, but that's not reality. So if a kid is playing a video game, we should teach them about this is not reality, and this is not how you deal with the problems in real life, right? They can differ. Sure, that's completely true, Alejandro. You have a point. All these from well, I don't know about that. That that's completely well. we have some points in favor and other points that are proof this statement. Well, are not proof answer. So we're gonna be uh, debate with some opinions about how video games and violence, how the society is trying to prove this sentence and this relation between the behavior, the violence, and video games. So Alejandro, do you consider parents live in the past? Do you consider that the parents live in the past, so they don't agree with the video game, always blaming the video game because bad behavior if the kid they don't want to be a good boy? So do you consider the parents are only living in the past, trying to blame the new technologies? Well, yeah, that go. Well, yeah, I that's I may say that that's a good point, Alejandro. That's completely. Well, we grow up, we tend to be uh, hating the new technologies or the popular thing with are involved with younger, the youth. So, well, I would consider that's a good point to prove that the problem is not with the video games. The problem is how parents are blaming the video games. And that's my second question. Luis Fernando, do you consider society seeks to blame video games? As Alejandro was mentioning previously about uh, the United States, well, there are so politicians that they use this dilemma, this whole um, drama about video games. They blame the video games, but as you know, in the United States, there are there are a lot of federal laws that allow using guns, not kids, but it's very easy to get a gun on the United States, and they don't blame this culture about the use of guns. They blame video games as a well, I don't know how to say, but they treat video games as a beast of burden. So, what can you say about society, the society blaming video games? All right. So now the conclusion about this debate. We have a lot of good points about video games. A lot of points with this violence. So, Fernando, there are a lot of conclusion about video games and violence. We had some good points about it, and we have done studies that is showing they are showing numbers, but the reality is not only proof with numbers. So we have to learn that video games are not they don't have the whole fault, or they don't and we have to learn not to blame the victim for all the problems that kids are presenting. This violence, it could be all with the parents, the knowledge that they learn with the culture, and also a lot of factors that could be affecting this behavior between kids. So, Luis Fernando, do you want to add some final information? That and also for learning, they are not only for entertainment. So that that's completely true indeed. As you're mentioning, Luis Fernando. So Luis Fernando and Alejandro, thank you for for coming here to this debate. And thank you for all your opinions and your studies, your research. I really appreciate this debate and this time. Have a wonderful day, Fernando, and thank you for staying here. Goodbye.